them all what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive, where we, take a look at some of the more interesting stories making the rounds and really try to unpack what's going on.
Yeah, trying to cut through some of that noise.
Exactly. And today we are diving right into a developing story about some recent reports, some pretty serious allegations of leaks of sensitive information by, pretty prominent individual. And the report we're focusing on today comes from the Daily Beast.
Okay, yeah. The Daily Beast, what's interesting with this report, what I found really striking was the core of it was that new text messages had emerged. And these text messages were suggesting that classified information, and we're not talking just low-level stuff. We're talking information that's serious enough it could potentially lead to a court-martial had been shared in a Signal group chat.
Okay, wow. So right off the bat, this report's highlighting a pretty key contradiction here because, if I'm remembering correctly, the Daily Beast pointed out that Trump's top officials had previously come out and said, hey, look, there's no classified material in this group chat, right?
Right. That's what makes it so interesting is that they're saying that, but now the report is citing defense sources, and these sources are coming forward to say, not so fast. We're gonna push back on that a little bit. And they're suggesting that this information that was shared was indeed sensitive, potentially even reaching that court-martial level that we were just talking about.
Right.
And I think it's helpful for our listeners to kind of understand that, classified information comes in different, sensitivity levels, I guess.
Oh, right.
And when we talk about court-martial level, that implies a huge breach, right? That's serious stuff. We're talking about serious legal repercussions within the whole military justice system.
Yeah, that's not something to kind of gloss over. That's something to really pay attention to. And I think that's what makes, this deep dive so important today is, we want to understand what are these core allegations that are being presented by the Daily Beast, specifically this, pretty stark difference between what was initially said there's no classified information and now these new claims that, hey, maybe there is, and it's based on these texts. That's right away you start thinking well, okay, what changed, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it leads to some immediate questions, right? If officials initially denied that there was any classified information shared, what were the reasons for doing so?
Right.
Was it to protect an ongoing investigation, maybe to avoid public alarm? Or, and conversely, why are these defense sources coming forward now with these claims based on these texts?
Right. Why now? Right.
It's a very interesting development for sure.
And I think that's where this gets really, really interesting is the Daily Beast really emphasizes that these claims that are coming from the defense sources, these are based on these new texts that have emerged, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about some potential new development here, new information that's coming to light. And it really makes you think about how quickly information can change in these stories and how crucial it is to continually look at the evidence and see, what's the latest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the timing of this new information, what is it? What is the nature of it? How does it all fit together? That's really key here. And I think, it's interesting they mentioned Signal, right? The messaging app.
Right.
And Signal, it's known for its encryption. It's often seen as, one of the more secure ways to communicate digitally. So the fact that sensitive information was allegedly shared on this platform and is now potentially being leaked, that just adds another whole layer to this story. It makes you think about, even with these secure platforms, are they really foolproof? What happens if the people using them, aren't handling information properly?
Right. There's always that human element to consider.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great point to bring up because, going back to kind of the core of the story, we have this Daily Beast report alleging that, despite these denials we've talked about from these high-ranking officials, defense sources are saying no. Actually, highly sensitive information, maybe even to the level of, court-martial level, was discussed in this Signal group chat. And this is all backed up, supposedly, by these newly surfaced text messages.
Yeah, and that's really the central tension point here, at least from what we're seeing in this Daily Beast report, right? It's this head-to-head. You've got the official statements, and then you've got what these defense sources are now reportedly revealing through these new communications. So really it comes down to, okay, how credible are these texts? What's actually in them? What's the content? And of course, the report cites them. So that's what they're basing a lot of this on.
And I think, for you listening out there, what we're really seeing here is a potentially pretty serious situation. And it raises some questions about how sensitive information is handled, how it's communicated, and this reported contradiction between those official accounts and what these defense sources are claiming. I mean, it really makes you think about transparency and accountability, especially in these high-stakes situations, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, to kind of sum up the main points that we've gone over here, we've got this Daily Beast report. It's alleging these leaks of court-martial level secrets happening over Signal, right? And it's all based on these new texts that they're citing. And this is despite those official denials that we talked about.
Right.
So it really begs the question, what are the bigger implications here, even beyond this specific case? What does it mean when information is being shared in these digital forums, like regardless of the classification level that it's ultimately proven to be? And I think that's something for all of us to think about. What does this situation tell us about the security and the handling of sensitive information in a world that's, becoming more and more digital every day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider. And, as always, we encourage you to check out the full report from the Daily Beast, do your own deep dive, and, come to your own conclusions about what it all means.
Yeah, keep those critical thinking skills sharp, folks.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive today.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're Bobby doll.